what's up guys? Okay, today I want to talk about wrist pain because a lot of TOS sufferers have a lot of wrist pain which leads up into the elbow, and a lot of boxers also have wrist pain due to all the pressure of punching constantly. So I thought I'll do a video just to help alleviate that wrist pain, because wrist pain leads to other pains, and just having a sore wrist, you can't really function properly, you can't do your weight training, and you can't live day-to-day life and do day-to-day tasks. So there's a couple things you can do to alleviate the pain. The first step is using an ice pack. I've got a nice small one, and you can just put it on the different areas of where your pain is. Now there's a few different types of wrist pain. You've got the carpal bones here, which a lot of people have a little lump here, and that's where their wrist pain originates. You could have it on the radial side, which is near the thumb, near the longer bone, or the ulnar side. And if it's on this side, there could be a little bit of cartilage damage or just a trapped nerve, the ulnar nerve into the elbow, which is causing all that pain shooting from the elbow into the wrist. And from there, it could also be into your forearm, and it could be a tight forearm that's spasming, pulling your wrist slightly, and when you extending it, it's pulling, and that shooting pain is all the way down your forearm. So you can use your ice pack on your forearm, on your elbow, all along your wrist, just to alleviate any swelling and any excess pain, and that will just help you feel a bit better, have a little bit more mobility because there's not as much pain, and you can do that throughout the day. Now the next thing you can do is using a ball and do some trigger point release. Now you can focus on your forearm. Now if you've got wrist pain, you'd more than likely have a tight forearm. So what you want to do is place the ball onto your forearm and just feel around. You'll feel a very sensitive spot, and you want to hold the ball in place. Open your hand up and move your wrist up and down, side to side, and just feel which motion really gets that muscle gliding over that tight spot. So spend a few minutes on this, doing all the different rotations of your wrist. Open your hand up, and you can actually feel a sensitive little spot where those tight muscles are gliding over, and all your tendons from your fingers are gliding in between there, and you can feel it moving. And doing this loosens everything up, and you can actually get a better range of motion. So you can focus on the bottom side or the top side and just feel, but more than likely you're going to feel it down the bottom side of your forearm. The third thing you can do, and you can do this before you do trigger point therapy even, to get better range of motion, is take your thumb and your forefinger, put it around your wrist, and just squeeze it. And you can actually feel that your wrist lifts a little bit, and you create a little gap here. And when you've got that little gap, just squeeze it nice and tight. You can actually feel that it takes the pressure off your wrist, and you've got a bit of a better range of motion in your wrist. So you can put it a bit further back, you can stretch it a little bit more without all that pain. So just do this. Squeeze, keep the pressure, move your wrist around, stretch, get that range of motion. And then from there, you can either do your ice, or you can do your trigger point therapy, or you can combine all three and just rest your wrist day to day. And doing this on a daily basis will help you alleviate that pain, and will also get your wrist in a more flexible position where you're not bending your wrist and it's hurting constantly. Now, with boxers, a lot of boxers don't give their wrists enough time to recover, and they're constantly punching, throwing punches, and it puts a lot of pressure on the cartilage, puts a lot of pressure on the carpal bones, and you'll find that your forearm starts getting very tight due to all the pressure and the stiffness from the multiple punches. Now, having a good wrist support is essential, because you can't just put your gloves on. I see a lot of guys, they take their boxing gloves and they got no wrist support, and they put their glove on, and when they're throwing punches, their wrist is still bending. If you throw a hard punch, your wrist bends, you're going to get severely damaged. You can even fracture your hand. So you really want to use a good hand wrap. Make sure that your hands are nice and secure, protect your knuckles, and put a lot of support on your wrist. You don't want to be doing this when you're throwing a punch. I see a lot of guys punching, and they punch so hard their wrist bends in, and then they can't come back to boxing for a while. So you want to use a good wrist support under your gloves, and then use a good glove that has good wrist support there as well. And you also want to use good technique. And I see a lot of guys throwing a lot of speed punches and they get bad form and they don't start twisting their arms in and their elbows and wrists in, and they're just throwing these straight punches. And if you're just throwing wildly and you start going harder, you're not focusing on that wrist, and you could bend it, it could go in, and you can get very badly hurt. So focus on a good hand wrap, good boxing gloves, correct technique, and then just focus in between your training sessions just to put some ice on it, just to rub all the trigger point places, and then just rest it enough. So I hope this helps you. If anybody has any questions, you can just comment below and I'll try to answer as best I can.